This PetX Talk is brought to you by Pet World Media Group, your partner in all things pet media. Additional funding and considerations provided by Natura Pets, Project Blue Collar, and Dogwise Publishing. Are you ready to be empowered? Then join us for this PetX Talk.
Hi, my name is Greg Tilford. I'm the president of Animal Essentials, a company that manufactures natural supplements for animals, and author of Herbs for Pets. And I want to spend a few minutes with you today to discuss with you the reasons why it's important to provide supplementation to your dogs, cats, and other loved furry ones in your family, in addition to the food you feed. As you know, there are many, many different choices of really premium pet foods out there today. And a lot of people come to me and say, Greg, if everything on the label is true and we're feeding the best ingredients possible, why do I need to supplement my dog's food with things like digestive enzymes or probiotics or herbs or whatever? And the answer is simply because we don't have a crystal ball. We don't really know what the specific needs are of the individual animals we're feeding because they can't tell us. Like every other individual in the world, we all have different needs and abilities to utilize food and to absorb food and to eliminate excess waste. While in an ideal world, we should be, as well as our animals, be receiving all of the nutrients, all of the vitamins, minerals, and special micronutrients that are needed from the foods we eat, it isn't a perfect world. And one of the big part of the picture that's left out is the ability or inability, if you will, of the recipient organism that's receiving these foods. We don't know how well, for instance, an animal is able to absorb calcium from the diet. And we don't know for sure what else is needed to stimulate body processes that are necessary to maintain health. So the best way to assure this is to provide a daily supplement in addition to the food, just to make sure that all of the values are there in enough abundance and also in a form that the body can freely utilize and freely eliminate as well. Now, just like foods and animals, supplements aren't created equal either. And before I go any further with recommendations on what to supplement your animal's diet, I would like to tell you something about what you should look for in terms of quality in the marketplace. You see, historically in America, even though things are looking up for our pets, the pet industry has created an entire industry that is based from basically the byproducts or the waste of the human industry. Oftentimes, companies will use what they call animal grade or pet food grades ingredients in animal supplements. And some of them are very good, but some of them are substandard or lower grade, or the quality assurance isn't quite there. For instance, microbes or pathogens or heavy metals might not be tested as rigorously as they would be, for instance, the human counterpart of those products. So it's very important when you shop for supplements to make sure that the ingredients in those supplements are of the highest quality possible. And that means they should be made with the same human quality ingredients that we use for ourselves, that we insist for our children. They should be the best of the best, because if they're not, you run the risk of either having a low grade, even perhaps contaminated ingredient, but more importantly, one that is not in a form that can be freely utilized by an animal's body. There are differences in the way animals metabolize foods, especially carnivores. Carnivores require meat, for instance, and they are required to, their bodies are requiring that meat has high quality and very high quality, and it's in a form that the body can freely digest and extract the nutrients, if you will. Same with vitamins. If they're a low-grade vitamin and there isn't other measures added to the vitamin formula to help with the breakdown and absorption of those vitamins, then there's a good possibility that those vitamins will largely go right through the short digestive tracts of dogs, cats, and other carnivores. So quality is very important. Look for companies that manufacture supplements specifically for use in animals, companies that know the nuances and the challenges of absorption and sensitivity in animals first. Human branded supplements can be used, but if you have a question or if you don't know the dosing or any issues arise, you're not going to be able to pick up the phone with those supplements and say, I'm using your supplement in my dog, what can I do to use it better? I need advice. They won't be able to provide it. So go to a good, reputable animal manufacturer, somebody that does supplements specifically for the animals that you are taking care of. The other part of this conversation I would like to expose to you is when you use supplements in animals, especially if you're using a lot of these high-grade foods, these wonderful foods, these organic foods, these whole meat foods, raw food diets, home-prepared diets that are on the market today, supplements are useful not just because they add nutritional value to the food dish, but also because it will optimize the value of that food you're buying. A good case in point are digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes are, in essence, protein-based constituents that catalyze the breakdown of various types of food components in the diet. For example, protease will help break down protein in the diet. Cellulase will help break down cellulose materials, and that would be the material that actually binds the nutrients into plant materials. Very important because carnivores lack that enzyme in their bodies in order to utilize things like fresh vegetables, fresh herbs, potatoes, other things like that. They need exogenous enzymes that come from outside of the body in order to complete the digestive process so they can fully utilize all of those great nutrients that are locked up in the great food that you're buying today. So if you use a plant enzyme and probiotic, it's going to really, you're going to see the results of that high quality food much quicker than if you weren't using it, because the body is more freely able to utilize those nutrients and eliminate waste. Which brings us to another point. In the nutritional science realm, oftentimes when most of us are educated in nutrition, we look only at the values of foods, what we should eat, the food groups, not to eat preservatives, of course, not to eat too much salt, sugar, colorings, etc. But one of the things that's lost in the minds of the educators is the fact that once you eat good food, the byproducts of digestion have to be eliminated from the body quickly. If they remain in the body, even from good food, there could be problems like arthritis, cancer, and various other issues that are a result of too much waste product in the bloodstream for too long, binding with other chemicals and such. So the use of digestive enzymes, probiotics, and digestive aids in your diet and your animal's diet is going to help you not only get more value from the food you're eating, you're going to be feeding less as well, but you're also going to be working on a preventative level against a lot of different forms of chronic disease that are secondary mostly to diet. In terms of vitamin supplementation, my recommendation on vitamins and minerals, and mind you, this is coming from a man who owns a company that manufactures vitamins and minerals for dogs and cats, but generally, unless you think there is a need for supplemental vitamins and minerals, your focus should be on providing those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in the food you're feeding, meaning the food should be the optimum best for the type of animal you're feeding, and it should be appropriate for the animal you're feeding. If you feel like there isn't enough certain vitamins, or you think you've identified that there might be a deficiency, or perhaps you have an older dog or cat that doesn't absorb nutrients as well as a younger one would, like all of us, you might want to add a vitamin mineral supplement just to guarantee that all the vitamins and minerals are there as needed. Now, when we feed these, it's really important, again, to take into account that the quality of what we're feeding. So the manufacturer that you're ordering from should be totally transparent of the source, and especially the analytical testing that goes into the quality of the vitamins and minerals that are used in the product. And right now, in terms of quality and where these things come from and sourcing, I want to dispel some myths right now. A lot of people are bashing China and India and foreign countries for low quality ingredients that go into pet foods and human foods, and they think that the source perhaps is the leading cause of these problems. The real issue is in the analytical side of the issue, the analytical side of reality. 99%, probably close to it, if not 99, maybe 95%, of all of the vitamins that go into mouths of animals and humans in the United States come from China or India. That's it. They're all manufactured there. The way they're manufactured is they use a fermentation process by which certain probiotics are introduced to, say, wheat germ, and as they digest the wheat germ, they throw off various byproducts, part of which are vitamins and enzymes. Very, very high-tech process to extract those, but the point is those all come from overseas. Now, where quality control and quality issues come in is when those products get shipped, those ingredients get shipped into the United States. When they arrive stateside into the supply chain in the United States, there is a responsibility on the United States side to make sure all of the analytical checks are taken care of before it goes into commerce, meaning those ingredients should be checked for quality, meaning that it's exactly what it's supposed to be and the potency that it's supposed to be. It should be clean of any kind of pathogens or any kind of molds. And it should be clean of any known adulterants or exogenous chemicals that can make animals or humans sick. And that is our responsibility, because my company, I want to be able to underwrite everything that I sell. So everything has to be tested stateside, no matter where it comes from, in a reputable third-party analytical laboratory in the United States before it goes into commerce. A vitamin after that is a vitamin. A mineral is a mineral, provided it's clean and at the potency it should. So don't be afraid to question your manufacturers about the quality of the ingredients they're using in their products. They should have total transparency with you. If they are reluctant to tell you, then you might consider moving on to another. Another supplement I want to talk about in the limited time I have with you that every animal needs, including humans, are omega-3 fatty acids, especially omega-3 fatty acids. These are known as essential fatty acids, and there's several of them. There's omega-3 fatty acids, which tend to work as an inhibitor of inflammatory responses in the body. There's omega-6 fatty acids that stimulate inflammatory responses in the body, both of which are necessary, but they must be balanced. And in the human, and especially the canine and feline diet, we tend to be very deficient in omega-3s, because in today's world, many of the foods we eat and the animals that we feed are getting a lot of their nutrients from grains, vegetables, and plant sources that are basically void of omega-3s and very rich in omega-6s. So my recommendation to all of us, and especially our dogs and cats, is to supplement the diet with a good quality fish oil every day, a good, solid, clean quality fish oil that has been tested for heavy metals, PCBs, and is from wild sources, not farm sources. And the reason we don't use farm fish oils in our products are simple. Antibiotics, GMO feeds, low-grade feed products that end up in the systems of the fish that we're eating, and such. You are what you eat in the animal world, therefore we want to make sure they come from clean, wild, and very important, sustainable sources. Our oceans are in trouble. A lot of the fish that we've taken for granted over the years. When I was a kid, I used to go to fried fish restaurants and have Icelandic cod. It's gone. It's actually out of circulation because we depleted it. Wild salmon are under a lot of pressure, both by fishing and human consumption, but also the cold pressed salmon oil industry. So look for companies that are very sensitive to the sustainability of what you're using. Our company today, Animal Essentials, is going into an entire campaign to assure that we are using sustainable green practices in all of the fish we utilize, that the fishery practices are up to speed with maintaining those species of fish, and that it's being properly processed and analyzed for toxins. Now, the advantages you're going to see by feeding fish oil, it's one of those supplements that I always call, it's one of the first things that will make a non-believer into a believer, because you'll see results very quickly. Dogs, most of which are deficient in omega-3s, will show amazing results on their coat. Shiny coat, less body odor, less dandruff, and better flea resistance, usually within just a couple of weeks. Same with cats. This is because without that omega-3 fatty acid going into their bodies, the body can't launch an appropriate response to antigenic proteins such as flea saliva, and therefore you'll have a flea allergy and such. So you'll see very, very quick results when you use fish oil in the diet. Also very important for developing and maintaining healthy nervous system, smooth muscle tissue, heart function, skin, as I mentioned, reproductive organs. It's a very important nutrient that should go in the mouths of every animal every day, in addition to high quality human grade food ingredients. I know I've given you a lot of information in a very short period of time today, and there's a lot to consider here. I strongly advise that you do some research, do some homework, look on the internet, Find out exactly what the needs are for the type of animal that you're feeding. That's very important because even though they're our family members, we love them like our family members. We might give them human names. We might even put human clothes on them. They're very different than us. And it's very important that you understand that you're feeding a different kind of animal with very different needs.
Greg, thank you for your wonderful PetX talk. One of the things that you discussed in that talk was understanding sourcing. Is there a simple way for pet parents to find out the sourcing of their supplements?
Well, finding out the exact sourcing of the supplements can be difficult because there's proprietary issues involved with that. Manufacturers generally don't want to give away their great source to their competitors, therefore it's not made public. However, finding out the standards by which that sourcing is had is relatively easy. First, you can look for an NASC seal of approval or find out if the company has been approved by the National Animal Supplements Council in the United States, because basically what that means is they're an audited company, they're inspected, very rigorous to quality standards that are similar, if not actually better than that of the human food industry, meaning that in terms of sourcing, the sourcing has to be audited by the manufacturer, meaning that technically, if I buy, say, an ingredient from Bulgaria or anywhere in the United States, I have to have a physical audit and inspection of that facility and the quality control standards that that company uses. This is all kind of flowed through with what's happening on the human side of the industry through what's called the Federal Food Standard Modernization Act, where manufacturers are required to verify their source and also verify the potency and the cleanliness of each ingredient by a third-party analytical study, meaning that instead of just relying on what the supplier says from their lab, then we subject their certificate of analysis to our own. We'll send off to a third party and say, hey, you better be right because we're going to be taking your certificate of analysis and having your stuff analyzed against it. It better be correct. So it's more in the process and the quality standards of the company you're buying for to assure that the sourcing is good, because all the analyticals and the responsibility to provide safe, clean, viable ingredients really rests on the shoulders of the manufacturer, not on the source.
Now let me ask you, you talk about the analytics, yet for most pet parents that's confusing. Is there a tip or a simple way for us pet parents to be able to understand the analytics that we're looking at?
Yes. Again, the National Animal Supplements Council requires that everything be accurate on the label, but by analytics, it's important that the manufacturer is transparent, hopefully in their product literature, hopefully on their website, that, hey, we analyze everything that we put into our ingredients to make sure that it's the identity of, say, for instance, an herb we're using is correct, that it's actually the herb that we think it is, that the quality is good, that it's not full of mold, that it's not full of heavy metals or toxins. And it's basically, I think it's important for the pet owner, especially the discriminating ones that we're talking about, the ones that want pure natural health that's appropriate for the animal, to really hold their manufacturers to the transparency that's necessary to say, hey, what's in this? You know, most of the pet owners to date, their exposure to analytics are in reading pet food labels. You'll see a panel that has, it's called a guaranteed analysis, which is an analytical, chart that says it has X number of percentage of protein, X ash, X, fat, etc. But we need to go farther with that, because all that shows are the crude amounts. It doesn't show what's beneath or what's inside of that fat. So I think it's important, and I think the more people pick up the phone and actually call the manufacturer and say, hey, what kind of analytical standards do you have for the quality and purity of what you're putting in the food? And what can you do to convince me that you're actually doing the work? Our intent over the next year is to start putting third-party certificates of analysis up onto the website with each run of supplement that we put out. So if people have a question, wow, I wonder how clean this is, or what's in it, or it says human grade, which we try to do. Everything that we use in our products are suitable for human consumption. We don't shop the pet industry for our ingredients. We shop the human industry. But we still want to put something up there showing that this has been analyzed at a laboratory and it's been shown to not contain the things you don't want and to contain the things that you do want.
Most of us pet parents wonder, why aren't all the supplements and vitamins that we need in the food that is so easily and ready available to us? Do you have a short explanation for that?
The short explanation is that most of what is manufactured, both for humans and animals, and what is contained in those ingredients are required by law in order to label it for what it is. Say, for instance, if it's a maintenance dog food, it has to pass AAFCO, American Association of Feed Control Standards, feeding trials to contain all these different ingredients. And so the manufacturer might be required to add vitamin premixes and minerals to the food. The problem is, just like on the human side, is these standards are based on scientific averages. We look at a population of 30 million dogs and make a decision that on an average over 30 million dogs, this is what they need. They need these vitamins, these minerals, they need this amount of protein. When the truth is, just like us, humans, every individual is different. So we all have different needs. We all have variable needs that change according to the day, really. If it's hot out, we have a different nutritional requirement than when it's cold out. If we have a cold, we're sick. If we have some underlying disease that hasn't even been diagnosed yet, these all affect what our nutritional requirements are. So in order to make sure that animals or humans are getting not only the right mix of vitamins, but the best quality possible, that's not conveyed on product labels either, on pet food labels. But making sure that they get enough is add it to the diet, put it into the matrix so the body can utilize it. It can selectively utilize what it needs and freely eliminate what it doesn't need, because we're using high quality ingredients, stuff that's easy for the body to utilize. So it's, in absence of a crystal ball, we need to put nutritional edges on. We need to increase that abundance of nutrition in absence of what we already know, so the animal's body can utilize it intuitively and internally. Otherwise, we're banking on hopefully the averages that span across 30 million individuals, when in fact every animal is uniquely different.
Greg, thank you so much for sharing your insights
You're
and
welcome.
knowledge. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this PetX Talk. To learn more information about Greg Tilford, visit animalessentials.com. Funding for PetX Talks is provided by Pet World Media Group, your partner in all things pet media. Additional funding and considerations for PetX Talks is provided by Natura Pets. Natura Pets can help you optimize your pet's health with premium organic supplements from the Amazon and Andes Mountains. Visit naturapets.com. Dogwise Publishing, all things dog. For all of your expert dog book needs, visit dogwise.com. Project Blue Collar, Support the Underdog is a movement to publicly identify and celebrate the rescue dog. Visit projectbluecollar.com. Special thanks to Pet World Insider, taking you inside the world of pets. Visit petworldinsider.com for more expert radio interviews, articles, and videos. This has been a Pet World Media Group production.